Welcome to the first Access ParaCast in 7 years. After many requests of recent, I've finally jumped back in and got the ball rolling again. Life for me has taken me down a very adventurous road, which included moving permanently from Australia to the UK, surviving a pandemic, going from a brunette to a blonde, and getting married. In that time, though, I've been actively investigating possible paranormal phenomena, and now living permanently here in the UK, it's been amazing. With multiple venues open, so many people exploring this topic, thousands of years of written history, I've found further learning in this country has been wonderful. I've also made some great connections within the paranormal community and made friends with people who feel more like family. But enough about me. In this long-awaited episode, we find out what happened on an investigation of Bodmin Jail, an 18th century prison, which is also a hotel in Cornwall. We also explore the personality trait of Fantasy Proneness and how that might relate when investigating paranormal experiences. And I get a chance to chat with UK paranormal investigator Nick Terrell about his experiences, what he's most passionate about, and any advice for others wanting to take the next step investigating possible paranormal phenomena. But first, Bodmin Jail was built in 1779. In 1850, the jail was extended due to changes within the Acts of Parliament, and it was a requirement for total segregation of remand prisoners, convicted prisoners, felons, misdemeanants, and vagrants. This resulted in over 20 different classes of prisoners, each needing to be housed in separate areas. Between 1856 and 1861, an entire new prison was built on the site and the original buildings removed. 1869 imprisonment for debt was abolished, so from 1887 parts of the jail were used by the Royal Navy, who stayed until 1922. The female prison was closed in 1911, with remaining inmates being transferred to Plymouth. The numbers of male prisoners declined dramatically, and with the outbreak of World War I, the last male prisoner left Bodmin Jail in July 1916. The jail was finally closed and officially decommissioned in 1927, and 1929 saw its break-up for sale for demolition. After 1929, it initially opened as a casino, nightclub, and an attraction, with mock executions in 1930, and was a popular destination for revelers and gamblers in the local area. When a section of the roof was removed for repairs, it caused a rapid deterioration of the building, and over time the jail's walls started to crumble, leaving many parts derelict. Attempts were made to blow up the original building in the 30s and 40s to deconstruct it for salvage, but the walls were so thick and well built, mind you, over 1 metre in places, this proved impossible. It was not until 2004 when the local Wheaton family purchased the old building and Bodmin Jail had some proper investment. Money was spent on restoring the old walls, turning parts of the historical monument into a tourist attraction. In 2015, a businessman visited the jail and wanted to invest in the history to make it a world-class tourist attraction. Almost £50 million later, the location reopened in 2021 as a hotel, a champagne bar, and a tourist attraction. Bodmin Jail has had 55 executions, and they were for crimes such as rape, murder, and stealing. Most of these executions were viewed by the public, and thousands would travel just to witness the hangings. The last person to be hanged at the jail was William Hampton in 1909. With history like that, I was happy to get stuck into the location and its dark corridors and cells. A local Cornish paranormal investigator called Jackie also joined us, who had also been at the location to investigate many times before. This was also good for the rest of us, as we had knowledge of this place before the latest changes. Anna, another paranormal investigator, had also travelled to the location. The night started off fairly quiet, but it wasn't long until I realised my voice recorder had decided to switch itself off.
Yeah.
the thing is though, it was actually recording, the red light was on, but then the screen eventually switches off on the time delay. And now the red is on because it's now recording. We began to settle down more into the same area, but myself and Anna became more intrigued when a sound was heard a second time. So, I've heard a noise again. It's the same noise I heard about 5 minutes ago.
Is it like a scratching? Yes.
For me, I was leaning more towards a normal and environmental explanation, as it appeared to happen again. The section we were in has a lot of lighting and electrical equipment humming above us, even though it was all switched off. So for me, I was leaning towards temperature changes in the room. One person in our group began to feel a little strange.
I don't know how to explain it. It's like a tingle, but I don't know how to explain it. It like shoots down. Almost like if someone was stroking you, but like with static on their hands.
Then what appeared to be my turn regarding the touchy-feely. I thought someone just touched the back of my head. Scared the crap out of me. Literally but it was like someone's tickling. It was like a physical tickle. Okay. Ooh. Not long afterwards, we heard another strange knock after Anna suggested, "You can play as much as you like."
You can play as much as you like.
But maybe there was another way the other side could have communicated with the group.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
After a while, it wasn't long before Jackie felt something on the top part of her leg.
Oh, somebody just touched me.
Then myself and Jackie heard a strange sound, but interestingly, others didn't. The sound is good. It's on here. It's on it.
I heard it.
Was it anyone who did? That's not a sound I've heard before.
It was sort of, I don't know whether it was in between you and I, or whether it was just the other side of you. Didn't you? No.
The sound was something that to me felt like it was in the room with us, and not outside or reverberating from another possible outdoor space. We never heard it afterwards either. The rest of the night was rather quiet, as far as any possible audible phenomena and physical interactions. As with many locations, one night barely scratches the surface, but with such limited time, I would love to spend a month documenting personal experiences in this place. But alas, the bills have to be paid. Fantasy proneness or fantasy prone personality is when a person has held a long-term fantasy for up to half their time awake. This can also mean the person can blur the lines between what they remember and what they're fantasizing about. There are people who are more prone, susceptible, and may have in the past had imaginary friends while in school to having a fantasy identity. Person can feel they are experiencing real sensations when they are imagined, like intense audible and visual encounters. So how does this relate to paranormal investigating? Well, if a person believes their home or location is haunted, this being a fantasy, it will make it near impossible to investigate the case. Have you ever come across a person who is adamant that there is a haunting happening, and you've told them that there could be instances that are actually explainable? It's a situation where the lines of fantasy and reality are so blurred, as well as the individual's belief, it causes it to be a difficult situation. Fantasy proneness isn't a disorder, but more of a type of behaviour and can sometimes be a way that someone deals with difficult emotions or experiences. So, what do? Still, this individual has experienced something, and regardless if it's a fantasy or reality, it's still an experience. Listen without judgment, but be genuinely curious. Don't challenge their beliefs, at least not straight away, as that could make anyone defensive. If they are open to the possibility of alternative explanations, you could ask questions like, do you think there might be another reason why you may have heard that dragging sound? Maybe offer an environmental explanation for them to think about, but only if they're open to it. If their fantasy seems to be more frequent and appear to be interrupting their everyday life, maybe try and gently suggest that they may benefit from talking to a health professional or someone who specialises in their sensitivities, someone who can actually help them work out what's going on. And fantasy-prone people are generally quite creative, so although it may appear they are fantasising about possible paranormal phenomena, it may be helpful for them to find ways that they can still use their creative minds. Maybe something like story writing or art as an example. Again, it could be a suggestion and something for that person to really focus on. Being aware that there is something like fantasy proneness can actually help when interviewing people about their paranormal experiences. Keep in mind when interviewing a person if they come across as displaying a vivid imagination, if they tend to be heavily influenced by what they see or hear or told, particularly if there's a strong emotion attached to it. They shy away from evidence-based information, or maybe they appear to have imaginary friends while growing up. Awareness is key, and having some knowledge about this topic can actually help you and the other person you're interviewing in the long run. Essex-born Nick Terrell has been actively investigating paranormal phenomena for years. Having started his own paranormal group, IPI, Insightful Paranormal Investigators, he's also assisted in helping the world-known Ghost Club to find locations to investigate, as well as being a member of the Spontaneous Cases Committee of the SPR. Nick doesn't shy away from letting others know he is what people term as a believer of ghosts, yet he does like to look at cases with a logical mindset. I start off by first asking him the one thing about investigating paranormal phenomena that he's most passionate about.
I guess that's probably quite easy, which is obviously finding proof of ghosts, effectively. Finding proof and trying to convince sceptical people that this stuff is real, and to try and not open people's minds up exactly, but get them to accept that this paranormal field has some weight to it. It's not a flight of fancy. It's something that's serious. And I think that's probably the driving force behind it. I think try and find, proof that ghosts exist.
Have you experienced anything that potentially opened your mind to different types of phenomena that you hadn't even thought of before?
No, annoyingly, probably not. I don't think. I mean, I think I sort of targeted what I was the area of interest, which is to do with obviously ghosts and the like. I know ghost is not a favourite word of people, but I'm going to use it. And I think that subject obviously does cross over into different things. And I think it's more the explanations. You know, you could go on to say about UFOs, cryptozoology, and there's a myriad of other things that are out there. Because I've not really experienced anything that I'm aware of outside of ghost field as such, I think I'm kind of don't think I have. And maybe I need to be, I suppose, like anything else, you need to be open to things. But I think where I go for paranormal interest, you're not going for anything else. You're not looking at any other subject than ghosts, really. So I think that's probably the reason why I've not been in an area where I'm likely to come across anything else that I'm aware of. But like anything, I mean, you could be, we're going on the cruise in November, and if we see something come out of the sea that looks a bit odd, doesn't look like a whale or dolphin, but looks like a plesiosaur, I would definitely pique my interest, something along those lines, I suppose. You can have a coffee book approach to the paranormal, which is you could have a bit of interest in everything, and that's not too bad. And it's not a bad thing, but I think because of the ghost side, because it's so, or the possible explanations for what they are so vast, I'm concentrating on that side. So I'm almost probably got blinkers on. I'm not necessarily seeing anything else, really. So perhaps am I most relaxed, not expecting it, and in the park playing cricket or whatever, and we see something in the sky we can't explain, that then maybe there's something else. But yeah, no, I think I've got enough on my plate with ghosts, to be honest.
Is there anything that you wished you could experience that's possibly paranormal? Was there something that you think if that happened to me, I would just be on cloud nine, or it would validate something? Is there any type of thing that you think, I wish that would happen to me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, having a full body apparition appear in front of me would probably be as good as it can possibly get. I think there are definitely kind of quite a few tasters. Quite recently, that one of the investigations we're seeing this grey shape twice and seen by somebody else. That wasn't human. It wasn't what I would call a human form. So did I just see something at the corner of my? Actually, I didn't. I know I didn't. But that kind of thing, because it wasn't a bona fide human shape. Did I see effectively a ghost? Don't know. It was definitely something, but it's having that something along those lines, which is completely and utterly, irrefutably inexplicable. As in, this is you're seeing something that shouldn't be there. You're fully awake. There's no reason for it. It could be in your own home or somebody else's home when you're not necessarily looking for it. That would be the one. That's obviously the nirvana, I think, that you would want to have, because I think at that point you would be able to look people more in the eye and say, I have seen a ghost. I have seen a ghost. I know it's a ghost, and you can tell them why it's a ghost, and they can still disbelieve you. But that idea that you can really hammer that point home is the aim, I think, really. I'm already there. I'm already a believer. It's not a question, because there's too many things that happen anyway that defy logical explanation. And I think if you get to the point where you're having to make absurd reasons up for explaining away something that's paranormal, then you're guilty of, almost demeaning what you've seen or demeaning what somebody else has experienced by making up things that are just too ludicrous. And I think I want that one experience where I've had, something literally as a person has appeared in front of me. And that will be the one that I'll be searching for. I'm always hopeful for that. I mean, so I think we've been close. The last couple of investigations, we've been quite close to that happening. And it may never happen, but that will be the one. Yes, that I think will be the confirmation. I think people are always looking for signs, aren't they, with God, and kind of looking, a white dove suddenly appeared, it must mean God's about. Those are kind of tenuous little links. I think to physically have something that shouldn't be there appear, that would be with the confirmation I would go for it.
What advice would you give to someone who is interested in taking the next step with investigating paranormal phenomena?
I would 100% recommend joining the Ghost Club. I would 100% recommend them joining ASAP. I would think they were probably the best ways to get into having their thoughts accepted by other people. I think the Ghost Club is fantastically welcoming for everybody who is interested in the paranormal, and nothing is too left field for them, which is amazing, because there's going to be somebody out there who's had the same experiences as them. And also then I think you have a chance to go out and do field investigations there and pursue the subject more seriously. I think those organisations like people who treat it seriously. And then effectively is a stepping ground between there and the SPR. The SPR are a lot more expensive, but also, again, the work that they do is fantastic. And I think any of those organisations are good or very good to help. But I think the first two, ASAP and Ghost Club, were almost like right, I'm interested and I want to go further. And the next step would be, I think, to the SPR, I think. So that's what my recommendation would be. Can find different paranormal groups around. I mean, there I mentioned our group, Insightful Paranormal. I think they've got very good ethos, very similar to the Ghost Club. I think there's a lot of people who take actually all of the people take it very seriously. And there are some groups out there like that. There's no question, probably more than you would think. But I honestly think that with the Ghost Club, that you have a great chance to have your views heard and to get a chance to participate in things, and engage in the meetings and the weekends away. And they're good organisations for encouraging your interest, basically. But as I say, you may be lucky that you may find a local group that's serious and get involved with it. I know when I was looking years ago to join a paranormal group, you had to bring something along. That was normally a car or equipment or money or a location, which is completely understandable. And even then, obviously, I think some of the practices won't necessarily be as stringent as Ghost Club and SPR are. But still, if you have that interest, it's worth trying to find a group. But yes, I say definitely Ghost Club, my suggested port of call.
Thanks so much for listening, and keep investigating. 7 years. Can't let that happen again.